Hey, 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 everyone. Is we live? Let's see. I'm going to refresh my other page where... Oh, yep. We're live there. Can everybody hear us? While I wait for things to... actually, I always like my tweet instead of hit the retweet. We're live now. Come on and join us. All right. I see people saying we're live and that they can hear us.
Yay. I got a new headset, so we shouldn't have all that buzzing that we had last time.
Ooh, awesome. Giving a little heads up, I'll say this again later after we get a few more people in, but just so everybody knows, I'm having a late dinner. So if you see me like kind of disappear and then come back in, it's because I'm eating. But yeah, now let's go post the link places so that everybody knows we're live. How is everybody's day? Is everybody excited for tonight's topic? I know I am.
I am super excited. It's my favorite.
I'm like, there was one more place that I was going to post it, but where? All right. Also, if I'm a little slow clicking on things, it's because my mouse has vanished. So I'm using my laptop's touchpad, which, as we all know, laptop touchpads are amazingly precise.
So precise and specific and just right on target.
Yeah.
I sounded like I was reading from the thesaurus.
Here are all the synonyms. Hey, Cody. Hey, Carrie. Hey, Leanne. What up, CB? Whose name came and disappeared. Hey, Ree. Hey, Sako. Oh, pardon me. Is it Ani or Anai? I think it's Ani. But nothing much. We're just going to be discussing werewolves tonight. All of the things.
Yes. I even have...
Oops.
Ah. Okay, there it goes. I have my little wolf buddy with me.
Yes. All right, before we get into it, though, let's introduce ourselves. Sparrow, tell the people, who is you?
Oh, the talking about myself part. Yay!
Yeah.
I am T.M.Sparrow, writer and homeschooling mom. I have my own YouTube channel where I talk about writing, mythology, and homeschool mom stuff. It's a lot of fun. I do werewolf videos every full moon, which means there's one next week.
That is exciting. As you all know, I am writing mom Samantha L. Nasset, and if you don't know, well, hey, welcome. That's who I am. I talk about writing stuff, parent stuff, and writer-parent stuff, and occasionally just whatever pops into my head for the vlogs. And again, sorry, having a late dinner for those of you who weren't here before. So if I occasionally disappear and come back, I'll let you know. But don't worry, I will flip my headset up because I don't like to hear people chewing. So I imagine people don't want to hear me chewing.
Which is fun when you have
Ani.
children who like to eat loud. Yes, Ani, you got it.
Yay! I don't often get names right on the first try, but when I do, the entirety of my werewolf knowledge comes from Teen Wolf and Supernatural. I actually didn't mind how Supernatural handled their werewolves, so.
Yeah, I liked them.
I don't know about Teen Wolf, though.
I saw part of the first season of Teen Wolf. But
was it a good handling, a bad handling?
I liked what I saw. I meant to go back and finish watching it, but I never did.
That's me with like half of shows. I was binging. I binged The Magicians for 3 seasons, and then just stopped. And
I got a
then
season and
binged
a
the
half
next
of The
3.
Magicians, so you did better than me.
I do not blame you. This is anyway. We're here to talk about werewolves.
Werewolves.
Hey, welcome, Samus. So, as per usual, we've got some talking points to get the conversation started and everything. We will dive into the first one: werewolf slash lycanthropy, curse, gift, biological. So, there's actually a lot of different myths depending on how you go there. And another interesting thing is that werewolves are primarily known for the European mythology, right? And that is because in other parts of the world, their shifter mythologies are actually usually were-cats as opposed to werewolves. So, like in Africa, there's Nagals, which are were-jaguars. In Asia, there's, I forgot the term, but they're were-tigers. Yes, my child. I'm I'm glad that your cheese stick has become lipstick. Yep, you made a lipstick. Now go that way. So yeah, it's really just kind of a very interesting thing that shapeshifting into an animal is pretty universal, but what animal is more like dependent on regional species of wildlife? Which myths do you prefer? I know for me, it really depends. I think that there is something, there's like merit to all 3 as to whether or not it's a curse, a gift, or if they're just born that way. Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe they're born a werewolf.
Yeah, it really depends for me on like how it's handled and how it's all explained. I like in Mercy Thompson, there's like a combination of the 3. Like mostly they're changed, but some of the first werewolves, it started as a curse, and there's only ever been one born werewolf.
Oh,
So
cool. They're
I
like
thought that was
special, ain't they?
yes. His mom was like a shamanic witch, so that was the only way that he was able to be born, because the werewolves in that world can't have children. Like the female wolves can't have children.
They're infertile. Then.
It's not that they're infertile, it's because of the shifting at the full moon. That's not compatible with pregnancy.
Got you. Unfortunately, I'm not writing werewolves, but I've always wanted to write supernatural fantasy, so maybe I'll get some inspiration here. Hey, always welcome to try to inspire people. There are 2 different folklores of werewolves in Michigan: the Loop Guru and the Dog Man.
Yes,
the Loop
Guru is fascinating. I love the Loop Guru.
Hello, child. Is that the were-tiger? Henjei yokai that looks like, I know yokai is demon.
Yeah, yokai.
It's the other half, I'm not so sure. Hey, welcome. Hello. But yeah. Oh, another interesting thing, as because you brought up the like shaman witch aspect of it, in European and American history, witch trials also coincided with werewolf trials. So like when they were on the hunt for witches, they were also on the hunt for werewolves, because werewolfism / lycanthropy has been tied closely to.
Yes, they've always gone kind of like hand in hand. And like even in Europe they were doing that. That was Peter Stumpf in Germany, the Bedburg werewolf. That was a messed up story.
I like mostly learned about that when there was this weird trend where in role plays and fan fiction for a while where you would have witches who had familiars and their familiars were just all werewolves, and I was so here for it. I was like, yes, this is amazing. And I now want to write a story like that because it's really interesting to have that kind of dynamic because the witch familiar is like their eternal partner and bodyguard or a magic conduit. So to have like that be a humanoid mythical creature that can turn human and sass them when they're doing reckless things. I love
That
it.
is all kinds of fun. That can go all kinds of different ways.
Yeah. I remember there was this one that I read where everybody had to pick, like everyone had their familiar before they were a certain age, except the MC, of course. And then they like befriended a wolf in the woods, and that became their familiar. And then because it was a werewolf, it was a super powerful familiar as opposed to the other ones. And I was like, yeah.
That's awesome.
Hey, hey. Don't know much about werewolf. Well, hopefully we can educate the masses who need to know things. Tonight I've done so much article writing to do for a deadline tomorrow. Awesome. I figured let's do it with friends on a stream. Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Just so
always a
you
fun
know
way.
though, this isn't a write-in this week. I do write-ins every other week. Today it's a let's talk. So I don't know how helpful versus distracting it will be. I just want to be transparent about that. We're talking about werewolves today. Well, werewolves, were-tigers, were-jaguars, just wares in general. Tell me more. Tell me more. Do Inagami count as werewolves? So that depends, I think, on what counts as a werewolf. Depends on your definition of a werewolf. If you're going strictly with a wolf shifter, then I don't know. Give me 1 second to look up what Inugami is to make sure that I know what I'm talking about.
That's what I was just doing too.
Spiritual possession by the spirit of a dog. Okay, so yes, I think Inugami could count because one of the one of the ways that wares or shifters are considered wares and shifters is through spirits possessing them, whether for good or bad. Like the were tigers of Asia, I think it's Chinese. There's a myth that if like you were really really shitty to a tiger, they would curse you and turn you into a were tiger. And then there's another culture, I don't remember for 100% certain, so I'm not going to guess, but their shamans were granted the gift and the ability to transfer into where jaguars or where tigers and jaguars are a really really common one. Wolves are pretty predominantly specific to Europe and the Americas because that's where wolves exist in the wild predominantly. But also in Norse culture, there was a thing, I forgot the word. It's like Fundwolf, or it's wolf and this one guy's name combined because he was a famous berserker that they said took on wolf features. Like not fur or anything like that, but just like that he was like feral, like a wolf and stuff. So I would say an Inugami, which is just like the spiritual possession of a dog, could count as long as we're using the umbrella term of all of it, because that's one of the things with like mythical creatures. Sometimes they're hyper specific, and sometimes it's just like, no, it's a category. Oh, are you just singing or actually interested? All right, they're talking about the article. I wanted to make a witch familiar tournament where the witches familiars duke it out and they magically amplify their familiars. The MC witch has a werewolf familiar. Oh, that would be awesome.
That sounds really cool.
It's like a more westernized version of Pokemon.
I'd be down for that.
It's not silly. Oh, or do you mean you would go with a lighthearted, silly tone for it? Oh, okay. That could be fun. That could, like, you could go either way with that.
Mm-hmm.
I like Werewolf the Apocalypse. I'm planning it. Oh, do you mean
Yeah.
White Wolf?
Yes. That was Werewolf the Apocalypse was the game where I met my husband.
Got you, got you. I know that. Which one did I play? I have to look up White Wolf now. Not in Japanese, Google. The gaming companies. They renamed themselves. Or they were going to rename themselves. I think it was after the Masquerade. Because the Masquerade is the Masquerade the first or the second? I know that's the vampire one. But.
I think Masquerade was the second.
I think Werewolf the Apocalypse is the one that we did too. So this is fair. I actually do work in chill calls on Discord when I need to focus and I'm having trouble. Lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my! Oh, there is one with bears. I can't
Right now,
remember.
there are lots of them with bears. If you go look on Amazon at the books,
that's very fair.
Bears everywhere.
In Twilight, the werewolves are not werewolves; they're shapeshifters. There's a difference. Agree? Yes.
Yeah.
So, in a lot of Native American folklore and religions, there are shapeshifters and not wares, and there's a really big difference. And I don't think she handled the difference very well, in my opinion.
No.
I don't want to speak 100% on it because I only have a vague understanding of skinwalkers from when I was a teenager. And I know that, it's still a practiced religion, so I don't want to be like,
yeah,
here is some possibly inaccurate information. But I do think that in a fictional setting, werewolves and shapeshifters can kind of be you can make a shapeshifter that turns into a werewolf or that turns into a wolf, and but shapeshifters in other mythology are changelings and stuff like that. They can turn into anything. Vampires are big shapeshifters. They can turn into bats and mist and wolves and all of that. So yeah, I agree that they are not the same thing.
If I remember correctly, in the Twilight books, there was a throwaway line from another character somewhere that said that the wolves in Twilight were actual shapeshifters and they could have been anything. They just ended up being wolves because of the legends of their people or something like that. I don't know. It was all very disappointing. But that's another conversation.
I'll forever harbor a very petty and dumb grudge, and I'm aware it's petty and dumb, but I'm going to harbor it because when I first heard of Twilight, and I was like, the main character's name is Bella. Well, the actor who first played Dracula in sound was named Bela Lugosi, and he is the reason that accent is so heavily associated with vampires. So I was like, oh, hey, this is a cool throwback reference. No, somebody actually asked her in an interview if it was, and she had never even heard of Bela Lugosi, and I was like, you took that away from me. It's so dumb, what? And it's not actually her fight. I'm just salty about it.
It's okay. We all have our petty.
They didn't have a wolfman form, did they? No, they just went straight to
they
dog
were just
form.
Big wolves.
Canine. They were just dire wolves. Aren't werewolf transformations excruciating when a simple shapeshift as a different being? It depends on the mythology. For some of them, it is extremely painful because you're the bodies break and everything. In other myths, you just kind of like black out so you don't feel anything and the animal just takes over. And then in other things, like when it's just something that they're gifted or that they're born with, it's just a painful, seamless, magical shift. Yeah, Pokemon Werewolf. This video will really help out as I tend to stay away from any TV show / movies with featuring werewolves. Is it just because you're disinterested, or like, do you have a phobia? Why the avoidance? I would read the hell out of that. Which familiar turn? The people want the book. Write it. My husband's just like, woohoo! I really, really enjoy how White Wolf handles their werewolves because they have like different kinds of werewolves,
Yes,
but
I
also
love that.
they follow a string of you have to be born a werewolf, and it's not a curse, it's not necessarily a gift, it's just biological. But like they address some of the common accepted things like being bitten by a werewolf. Activate like if you're bitten by a werewolf, you will only turn into a werewolf if you were already a werewolf and the gene was just asleep. So that's fun. I have not. I have been avoiding tabletop gaming information because I don't have time to tabletop at the moment.
Same. I'm
There's
very out of
plenty
the
of
loop on gaming stuff.
the bears. Are you talking about? Oh, there we go. There are some Celtic and I believe Inuit beliefs with bear shifters, and that is thank you. I'm helping. Yeah, sir, sir. Thank you. See, the audience wants you to not die, sir. I will. I will let it fester in its little corner. Didn't like didn't like Twilight, but it always got to me that everyone calls them werewolves and the book said they weren't and referred to children of the moon. Yeah, it's always interesting in an annoying way when something's like, oh, well, this is what my creatures are called. And then everyone's like, just calls them by something else. And it's like, well, they went out of their way to call them a thing. Whether or not I like them doesn't matter. We should still go with what the creator said.
Yep.
No offense to Kristen Stewart, but she can't emote to save her life. I've never seen any of her movies where she can change her facial expression. See, I agree with you, although that Charlie's Angel one, in the trailer at least, she was very expressionate. So I wanted to see that just to be like, wait a sec. Did she just like need to play what was the word I was gonna go with? Just like super outgoing characters to just like have a life and party? Was she being typecast incorrectly all these years? So I need to find out. More experienced werewolves are fueled by their pain. Ooh, interesting. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's like, there we go. Thank you for fixing my jingle. Earthblood will be Vigigame. Yes, werewolves. I have a slight phobia of werewolves. Definitely. Okay, got it. I mean, that makes sense though. If you got a phobia of something that appears at night predominantly, then not watching it at night helps keep that anxiety from your brain.
Yeah.
Ooh, excuse me. Sorry, I was fighting off a burp. All right, so apparently we have many, many people who don't know a whole ton about werewolves. So, I haven't seen the new Charlie's Angels movie. I have no desire to. That's fair. Werewolves are protectors of the innocent and not be feared. Respect and honor them. That depends on the like
That
mythology
depends on the
you go
legend.
with, because there's a lot of different things. Like there's one where I wish I like had notes so that I could remember where all these myths are from. But one of the mythologies has it that these people could be cursed to be turned into a wolf, and if they go 9 years being able to resist eating people, they turn back to human.
Yes, I saw that. I can't remember where it's from either.
It's a long ass time, but also I'm not entirely certain how strong the urge to eat people specifically would be. So it seems like a fairly manageable thing in your human form, at least. Leanne, have you seen? Oop, understood. It's just my belief. Which is totally fine. And for me, I love werewolves, and I absolutely adore when they are protectors or when they're bodyguards and everything. But it's important to acknowledge that there's a lot, and I mean a lot of different beliefs and mythology and everything. And most of it leads more to, well, for wolf shifters specifically, it leads towards curse. For jaguars and tigers, it's usually more a gift. So I think that's also a very interesting. Can I help you? It's a very interesting comparison to draw from all of it. Did you want to add anything?
Um, and I was trying to see if I could figure out where that, because I know I mentioned that in one of my videos about going 9 years without eating someone, and I can't figure out which one it was.
You're like, I will find out which one this is. Kittle Phoenix has heard of this one as well. My favorite werewolf in TV was Oz from Buffy. He's all worried Willow won't want to be with him when she finds out. She's so cute. I mean, 3 days out of the month, I'm not fun to be around.
Yes, I like Oz.
In the TV show Beauty and the beasts are not wolf-like. They're animal-like, leaning more toward feline, but I like that kind of animal, human, other species thing, just throwing it out there. Yeah, so there's a game that I grew up with called Bloody Roar, where everybody turned into a werewolf thing, but only like Hugo was a wolf. Everybody else was a different animal. They're like Bakugo was it Bakugo or Bakura? He was a weremole. Is the point. Is he was a mole. And then Alice, she turned into a rabbit. And Sheena was a leopard. Gato was a lion. Or was Sheena a lioness? No, I'm pretty sure she was a leopard. But the point is they all like just turned into different things. Jenny actually turned into like a Nosferatu thing. So she like had the bat ears and the wings and everything. So it was pretty awesome. And they had a term that was zoanthrope, which just means animal shifter. And I have taken that term and I use
I
it
like
all
that
over the
term.
place.
I can't find it.
I'm sorry.
It's taking too long.
You're like, damn it. One day. You're gonna find it right after the stream ends. Oh, we gotta go up. Yes, Bloody Roar. Alice. Her kicks were like awesome. Also, I hate the myth that werewolves were vampire servants. You know, that's not actually found in mythology. That was something that was birthed in paranormal fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But an interesting fact is that cultures that have a werewolf myth all have a vampire myth, but not all cultures with a vampire myth have a werewolf myth. So, but yeah, that's just a thing that paranormal fiction decided was a thing. Mole guy. I have to hold on. Is his name Bakugo Mole fan fiction? No, that's not what I want. I need to know that I'm remembering his name right. That game was like Bakuryu. I didn't remember his name right at all. So sorry, but yeah, Bakuryu. It's so good. He's a werewolf. He had like giant claw hands. It was so cool.
That's
I
awesome.
highly recommend anybody who like wants to make shifter or like, zoanthropes that are outside of like your standard wolf and big cats. Go upstairs. Go on.
wanted you then to say hi to me.
Okay, well then say that and don't be a creeper. But sorry. I highly recommend looking up Bloody Roar because
My husband loves that game.
Have you seen Beauty and the Beast show that I'm talking about? I do not know. If it is not on Netflix or Hulu, I definitely don't because I don't have cable. We only have streaming services because it's more financially doable for us. But I haven't seen it yet. But like you said, Beauty and the Beast, and Shifters, and my interest is piqued. I think that derives from Greek mythology, where they held a festival and sacrificed a child in honor of King Lycaon, where Zeus transformed into a wolf after he tried to test Zeus's knowledge. That's one of the werewolf myths, but I don't think that's a vampire one.
No, that doesn't really.
Do Native American cultures have a vampire myth? Educate me, please. So I'm not going to pretend to know because there are like over 200 something Native American tribes, and they all have their own unique myths of systems. But I cannot directly think of a vampire myth. I know that there's the Wendigo, but that's like more supernatural cannibal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna Google to find out. So a quick Google search produces nothing. But it says there are many humanoid monsters in Native American folklore that were believed to hunt and prey on humans. So just none like, I don't think there's any vampire or bat specific. Oh wait, it says something about Aztec culture. They would be the ones to have vampires. Oh, is the Nosferatu American or African? Hold up. Am I being a dumbass? Nosferatu folklore origin. This is why people come to the streams, because even if I don't know, I'm gonna spend 8 years Googling it for you. No, I don't want to know that. I want the folklore, not the movie information.
And it looks like the word itself is
It's Romanian.
Romanian.
Yeah. Which one am I thinking of? There is a bat thing in its South American culture, I think, that is very similar to a Nosferatu. And South American vampire fish. There's vampire fish in South America, people.
The
Asuma. Okay, so there is an Asuma, which took the form of an old man or woman who lived in a normal community life during daylight hours, and then at night turns into a vampire. So there's at least that one.
There's I don't know how to say this word. I'm gonna butcher it. Camazots. They're bat-like monsters from Mayan culture.
So I'm not finding anything for North American tribes, but it does seem Central and South American do have things There's also Koryu, the Iron Maul. he's like the old version of Bokuryu, though. I think so, but not a blood-sucking vampire, an essence stealer. Ooh, that I could do like a vampire stream too, because there's a lot with vampires.
There
and,
is a lot
all.
with
But
vampires.
today we focus on the werewolf.
Hi,
aside
Eli.
from hey, aside from the moment I took to answer that question. I'm actually looking at Bakuryu, and he's way more badass looking than I thought. See, it sounds silly, but if you look at it, it's actually he was like one of my favorites because I didn't know moles could look so badass. Yeah, that's what
That's
Leanne
probably
was
the right
talking
one.
about.
Yep.
Cool. Ooh, so hold up. Leanne gives me all the good shows to go binge. Like that Siren one that I still need to watch. I don't have a lot of binging time, so like it'll be binged by next year maybe. But I appreciate you increasing my list.
Siren's another one I need to go back and finish.
Yes. Netflix. Beauty and Beast. At the end of the year, I'm just gonna have a stream that's just like Sam binged. We're just gonna talk about all the shows that y'all have recommended. Wendigo is more werewolf than vampire. I think that depends, because I know there's a few different myths, and in one myth they are specifically like people who were left in the mountain and like ate other people, and as their punishment for eating other people, they were turned into these horrific looking things, which is why I don't know, it's kind of like depending.
I don't feel like they're really either, honestly. I
Yeah,
feel like they're kind of their own thing.
That's why I said the closest I could think of off the top of my head, but I was not saying that they are the same, because they're really not. I have a wicked headache after fighting a valiant fight against my excessive use of Well, we welcome you. Rest
We
here.
celebrate your victory.
Worry not of the adverb war. Vampire fish. I don't know. I was looking for myths, so I just but it was just like the vampire fish of South America. I was like, yo, there's a vampire fish. So I vote for a Fae stream so that I don't have to research that one. You're just in the back of the book in the acknowledgements, resources, Sam streams. It is. I just checked. Wait, what did you check?
I think
that
she
it's a
means
leech?
The show, that it's the same show.
I need to know what you just checked. And the American Indians, the Native Americans, have skinwalkers. It depends, because a skinwalker is not the same thing. It's like adjacent, but it's not the same thing. And like I said, there's like 200 to 300 different tribes. So you can't blanket statement like this is definitively in every single one of them. So
I think this skinwalker was Navajo, I think. But I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
Something that sounds, I'm looking it up now. Skinwalker, folklore, origin. I'm just singing what I'm typing. Yes, Navajo.
Yep.
Actually, here it says they're a type of witch. So, goes back to the thing that like shapeshifters and witches have always been like.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of one of my favorite myths that is almost never utilized, but where witches could use the power or give somebody the power to turn into a werewolf with like special herbs.
Yes, there were a lot of them with like they would have ointments or things like that they would
and
use.
the closest thing I ever see referenced to that is like wolfsbane, which is really interesting because people always go one of two ways with wolfsbane. It's either you plant wolfsbane around the property to ward off werewolves, or wolfsbane helps like cure or lessen the effects of lycanthropy. And I'm like, which is it? Oh, I know you can't. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I was about to do something. My brain fog is not as strong today, y'all, but it still exists as always because it hates me. Oh, so since we have no questions in chat, we'll go to the next talking point. Weaknesses. What does everybody know about werewolf weaknesses? I just the wolfsbane was actually an interesting transition that I failed to utilize properly. Fenrir, werewolf or shy shapeshifter who stays in wolf form. I think it's just a giant wolf, to be honest. Just a giant, monstrous wolf.
Yeah, in the mythology that we know, he's just a giant wolf all the time. So
amulets as well, which is myth they can create a werewolf. Oh yes. Ooh, yes. That's one of my favorite like curses when there's I think like in Gargoyles they did that and Fox became like a werefox. That was my first exposure to that myth. I also highly recommend like Gargoyles because while Gargoyles does of course take creative licenses, they at least give an initial exposure to a lot of different myths for like werewolves or vampires or the Nazi. I hope I said that right. But that was my first exposure to Nazi, and I became absolutely fascinated with the spider.
Oh no.
You're like, I did not come here for that.
Nope. I'm not here for the spiders.
Silver is a very popular one, as I see a lot of people. The silver. So it's actually interesting that silver is used for most supernaturally cursed creatures as a weakness because it's considered one of the purest metals. Not like scientifically, but like...
No, but like religiously.
Yep.
Which I actually did the research, and apparently silver has antimicrobial properties, and they think that that might be how it kind of got that connection.
Cool.
Yay, science!
Yes, wolfsbane. Love wolfsbane. Decapitation. Oh yeah, most things die.
Yeah, most things are not gonna.
But there is at least one werewolf myth where that is the only way to get them. Silver kills. Oh no, we're not putting anyone in timeout. Sorry. Full moon and makes them Hulk out. Whether or not that is a weakness, that's actually a fun debate because sometimes you know when it's a curse and when they become like man eaters and everything and they Hulk out and lose control, and then other times you have a story where there's a character who loves it and like they feel stronger and empowered and everything, and then of course if they're like born a werewolf and everything they may be able to maintain some sort of control, so then it becomes like a power form. So that's like an interesting, could go either way. Silver bullet. Sorry, this next one. this giant werewolf creature running away from a Roomba. That's how we
That is
protect
a
our
great
home.
image.
The Roombas. The mailman. Okay, but would that be a weakness or like a rage button to trigger?
A nemesis.
Could you just imagine a character who is a werewolf and they're just sitting there and just reading the newspaper or playing a game on their phone, and then like you hear the mailman and their human spouse is just like, oh no, and they're like, it's like, no, please don't. They just turn into like a domestic sized wolf. They're like, I'm sorry, mailman. Just I know my dog. Ending walks too soon. Oh, that I know that you're kidding about that one, but I saw a thing. Sorry, I saw somebody's comment a little bit down, but there's a thing where like werewolves need to get out and like exercise and work out. So in like an urban fantasy, a werewolf could conceivably disguise like their need to do that by just like going to the gym and being a musclehead, just breaking all the records on the treadmill. Silver Wolfsbane magic according to D&D. I mean, magic could be the weakness to everything. Did you mean Anasi? Yeah, am I saying that right? Or am I saying that wrong? That's awesome. And yeah, that is who I was referring to. The spider. More silver. Wood.
Oh yeah, the
Woodchuck.
woodcutter.
Yeah. Oh, so Little Red Riding Hood is actually thought to kind of fit within the werewolf thing. I saw one thing where the huntsman was the big bad wolf.
Oh, that's cool. I
I
like
don't
that
remember how
take.
the story ended. That's all I remember. There was also a trend in media in fiction where Little Red Riding Hood herself was a werewolf. I think they did that
Yes.
on once too. I want to see someone do a werewolf fight with platinum just because that would be new. Like as platinum as their weakness? Yes, why platinum? No, it's a tiny Roomba. It's just a regular size Roomba.
Exactly.
It's not as funny if it's a giant Roomba.
Honey, the werewolves are coming. Bring out the vacuum.
This reminds me of Hotel Transylvania.
Yes.
There's an idea, a scientific experiment gone wrong, where Wolf becomes a superhero called Plutonium Wolf. Is this an actual thing? Or is this like a thing that you're throwing out there? Because either way, I need info. Platinum is kind of a silvery color mostly. Ah. There's got to be werecats, right? That you can use. I've seen that. Father werewolf reading the newspaper when the mailman knocks on the door. Human wife ushers the kids out of the room where Papa Wolf my family alone, you heathen. Get off our property. Werewolf brings arcade. Ruby / Red Riding Hood from Once Time. Yes, I love that one. I'm trying to. I think that would also be my favorite Red Riding Hood telling. The platinum thing made me think of Werewolves with Stands. That's a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reference. Ah, okay. Masses. If somebody decides to go with Plutonium Werewolf, let me know.
Me too.
Superheroes
Superheroes and werewolves, that's my jam right there.
I know there are some, and I cannot remember. Okay, so our next point of conversation werewolves in horror versus paranormal, which we've kind of already been discussing a little bit about, like, the differences in the myths and the legends of when it's in horror and they're like man eaters or monsters and everything, and then when it's in paranormal where they're the good guys and the heroes. So like, oh, excuse me, excuse me again. I hate when I have things I'm saying and then I burp and then my brain is like, you don't get words anymore. I read a vampire book with werewolves that had other kinds of wares, like were pumas, were rats. I love to read mini stories. Dark Hunters.
I love.
Go ahead.
I was saying I love all kinds of wares. That's
Yes.
really great.
Dark
Variety.
Hunter. The Dark Hunter series by Sherilyn Kenyon also has a wide variety of wares. They're called were hunters instead of werewolves, and they're kind of like their own thing, but inspired by werewolf shapeshifter thingies. Underworld, the movie. Oh my!
Yeah.
I love that series. So I watched that series with my dad as it came out. It was like, because he's the one that got me interested in like werewolves and vampires and monsters in general. And then when that movie came out, we made it our daddy-daughter date. And
That's
then
cool.
as with all of the movies that came out, we went and we saw them in theaters. And we would talk about the myths and like just how they handled them. And I love how they handled both their vampire and their werewolf in that. Michael, was that the main character's name? I loved him.
I think it was. I think so.
That is also my oldest child's name, so it's cool how the genre completely sways how werewolves are portrayed. Yes, that is one of the things I find very interesting when it comes to horror and paranormal, because horror and paranormal are essentially paranormal is a subgenre of horror, so of course, but it's paranormal basically is the subgenre that lets you take the monsters and make them the protagonist.
Right.
And it just flips the script, and that's one of my favorite things about it. Blood and chocolate. I know we've seen that, but I don't remember anything about it.
I've never seen the movie. I read the book ages ago.
Was it good? How was it? Did they do the things well?
I thought it was really good, but it's been a really long time. Really, all I can remember is that I liked it.
T.M.Sparrow and audience. Oh, I wish my audience started with an S now. That would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome.
What's your favorite werewolf character, book, movie, or TV show? You may go first.
Well, yeah, because I'm already prepared. My favorite werewolf books are the Mercy Thompson books. They're really what made me fall in love with the urban fantasy genre.
So for me, it really depends, because I will forever have a special place in my heart for Wolfman, the black and white ones. But I think as far as like more modern stuff, the Underworld series is my favorite for how they portray like werewolves and everything. In between, there was like a period where I really didn't like any of the werewolf like fiction or media that came out, because I was like, but then that came out and I was like, these are my werewolves now, and it's just like, I loved it. I also very biasly love any media where the vampires lose and the werewolves win. That's a really good like point for me. As far as who's my favorite werewolf, though, I can't cheat and just say Michael from Underworld, right? Well, Wolf with Jack Nicholson is my favorite. Oh, that's a good one.
I haven't seen that
Yeah.
yet.
There were a lot of people that basically said Underworld was White Wolf the movie. However, White Wolf references a lot of the same things that Underworld referenced, and it's kind of hard to prove, like, either way. But I don't know. I don't remember when I looked into it. John Tolbane from Darksiders video game series. He's a werewolf that's a martial artist, so he uses nunchucks in his
That's
face.
cool.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Tolbane. That's a reference to something.
The actor who originally played the Wolfman.
That's right. Thank you. Yeah, the actor who originally played the Wolfman was named Tolbane. I said Darkstalkers, yes. Darkstalkers, the video game. Tied with American Werewolf in London. That's a good one. That one was entertaining. Michael Corvin and Ruby Lucas. Michael Corvin, he's from Underworld, isn't he? That name sounds right. White Wolf got a settlement, so I'd say they were mildly successful.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. They proved it. Like I said, I couldn't remember. I love the movies either way. But here I was getting a new phone. Oh, awesome, and welcome.
Yay, new phone.
Yeah, new phone. Exciting. Amen on when werewolves win and vampires lose. I'm vaguely remembering a Beauty and the Beast book where the beast was a werewolf. I liked it, but names, why have you forsaken me? That's me every day now, yo. So here's the thing. Nancy Collins wrote the story when she was in high school. The studio stole the story and made a movie. White Wolf wanted to go to court over it. She said, please don't do that. Oh. I don't know. I don't currently have. Oh, a favorite. Got you. All right. Going. Yeah, I think Michael Corvin is just going to have to be my favorite because I can't think of anybody above him except the original Wolfman because it's always a big part of my childhood.
I don't think I really. I don't think I really have a particular werewolf that's my specific favorite.
I'm also kind of biased, and the werewolves that I write are my favorites.
Yeah, there is that.
Like, I have a werewolf pit fighter I'm planning. Although I recently considered, instead of her being a werewolf, being like a were-tiger or a were-jaguar, because I'm like, if I go were-tiger, she could still be like beefy and
yeah.
if I go jaguar, it could be more like dodgy kind of thing. So I'm like thinking about that now.
I have a werewolf businessman, and his secretary is a were-tiger, so that's fun.
I like having the variety. That's awesome.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of werewolves. Yes. So am I. So is she. I had a free upgrade phone, and werewolves are sexier than vampires. I like both. Fair reasoning. My Skyrim character also tops the list of my favorite werewolves.
That's fair.
Very fair. If I had to choose, it's a tie between Remus Lupin or Ruby/Red from Once Upon a Time after she gains full control over the wolf form. But which cat? There's options. Werewolves appeal to the animal inside us. So, okay, that's a good point or thing to bring up. Why werewolves? Why does everybody like werewolves and or were cats if you lean more toward cat, or weremoles if you're weremole fan? Werebears. Also the werehedgehog. So a fun side story while everyone's thinking of their reasons. We were in Cyborg Central one day and just goofing around, and someone was like joking about writing a love triangle between me, them, and a were-hedgehog. And like I was like, I'm good. I know how to take out a hedgehog. They can't swim. And they're aware. So silver's probably a thing. So I just like tie silver thing. And I'm like, I got this. I am prepared. Years have trained me for taking out a were-hedgehog. In case any of you ever wondered if I'd be fine being thrust into a paranormal. Probably not, because they could take me on physically. But if I could Batman it and just have preparation,
Yes.
I'll Van Helsing it. I'll Van Helsing it. But yes, what do these things appeal? And we will answer, of course, as well. I'm reading a book where there are many were creatures. There's a werewolf and a were tiger. You know, one book that could probably be considered that, or a book series from childhood, is Honey, you read them? They turned into animals. The covers had their face and the animal face, and it slowly shifted.
Animorphs?
Animorphs, yes. Them. I always considered them were people, so.
That makes sense.
They don't have an in-between form. They just shift into the animal.
Yeah, and depending on the mythology, werewolves just turn into giant wolves. There is no humanoid form.
Mhm.
That came later. Yeah, but I'm talking
So
about...
shifters.
Sir! They could be either. Another reason I like werewolves is because I'm 6'4", so there's that too. They are your people. Oh, gee, I forgot about Remus Lupin. How did that happen? He was a good one. I enjoyed that his name was Remus Lupin. I'm like, his name is Wolf.
Yes.
I'm like, how do these people who take Latin magic lessons not have realized? I like were creatures that are unassuming animals. Like, show me a were goldfish. But would that be like a were or a mer person? That's a fish.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Because selkies are not considered wares, but they're basically just ocean were things.
Mm-hmm.
And someone got excited. Animorphs was my jam when I had the patience to read. That's fair. I read like 2 of them. So literally most of what I know is just from my friends reading them.
Never read any of them, so
You just recognize the covers.
yes.
The reason for the love of werewolves is the loss of control of your animalistic nature, and you can go evil or good how you perceive them. Interesting take. It takes like a half hour to read. I thought you were gonna be like, it takes them a half hour to shift. And I was like, why does it take them 30 minutes to shift? That seems like very vulnerable. Oh, we await your return. Yes, but a minute is drastically different than 30 minutes. I'll still take a minute over 30 minutes, good sir. They are my people, yes. I got this attention thing. Wolves and humans both have a pack mentality. They have a need for connection, unlike tiger or most other cats, which prefer solitude and only others to mate. That is only like partially true for wild cats because, you know, lions.
Yep.
Lions are in packs. Some wild cats actually do like mate for a while, and cheetahs are actually hyper like protective of their children until they go off and have their own children. So they're basic. I mean, the mom cheetah, the dad cheetah just disappears. But so it actually like really just depends. I think panthers and jaguars are more solitary though. So keeping that in mind, my pit fighter may become a jaguar. I am here for Werewolf. Hello, Candy. I think this is the first thing you've said today. And what an entrance. Sorry, like I said, y'all, I just feel the need to apologize for taking so much longer because I don't have my mouse, so the scroll bar It's not on me today. Where creatures are interesting when, if they are a different species, how their culture and or behavior can affect it. Yes, I love this. The southern, I say yes all creepily. The southern vampire mysteries also feature a lot of shifters, vampires, and other stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. I really need to read that. It's going on my list. My list of things for Sam to do for eternity. Controversial. I don't actually care too much about whatevers. First off, where people, where creatures, where shifters. There's a lot of words you could use. I'm where beast. I'm there for the character arcs. Give me an interesting whatever, and I'm there for it. I really need to go steal a mouse. The latest epic of the next generation, Bubbles, Terror of the Shower. If you write this, I will do your book tour for you. Can other half-human see? I think that would boil down to whether or not you allow it in your mythology, because sirens and harpies could very easily be some sort of werebird, and mer creatures could just be werefish. So I think that if you decided to create a universe where you allowed all of these things to interconnect, that would be wonderfully fascinating to read.
That would be cool. You have a were piranha. That would be terrifying.
Oh, no. The were piranhas are just always in a school. Follow you around. Did I say you're looking rather tasty today? It's like, oh, hey Greg, how are you? Did you do your taxes last week? Bye, have fun at dinner. Why are lions the only big cats that live in large groups? I know tigers can live in 2 or 3. I think it's has to do with resource management. Because there's not a whole lot of food in most places that big cats exist in. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my! Thank you. Okay, it looks like since the conversation's doing things, so real quick before we continue with the chat, what about werewolves and were things attracts you?
I feel like it's the duality. Exploring that duality of nature is just really fascinating for me. And I promise I'm not crying, just my allergies decided that now is a good time to be annoying.
as they do, because
yes.
why be convenient?
Why pick a good time to act up when you could pick now? But yes, I really like the duality and exploring the duality of nature and human nature, and I think werewolves in particular, because I just feel like a really special connection with wolves and that pack nature and the importance of family. So
yes, family, found family, born family,
yes,
all the good family things. For me, it's a little bit of there's mixed reasons depending on if we're talking about horror and paranormal. In horror, it's this idea that this person doesn't want to be a monster, but they turn into a monster. And so they're fighting against that, and they genuinely don't want to hurt anybody. And a lot of times the lengths that they go to try to prevent that, and then inevitably somebody fucks it up and then they get out, and it's not just anybody that they might kill, it's somebody that they really love. So then dealing with that's part of the good part of the horror, is that it's oh, well, are they going to kill the person that they're madly in love with, or is that person going to have to kill them to survive? And so then in horror, you really don't know if the werewolf is going to survive or not, because they could be killed in a tragic ending. And I high stakes and emotional stakes like that. And then in paranormal, it's very the little bit of the duality of it and the comparison, because a lot of times it's like, how similar are we on an instinctive level to other animals? And the way that mixing people with like a wolf, or mixing people with like a tiger, you've got these traits that are very inherent with these animals that then get amplified in the people. And as Leanne was saying, when you create like large groups in populations and stuff, then they have cultures, and they develop their own like little things that do and don't make sense depending on like how it is. And so I really like exploring that, and I like seeing that explored well. Like when they're bodyguards to somebody, and it's like, well, I'm a bodyguard because that's what I do. And it's like, oh, well, you don't have to. And then you get this like mentality of they can't comprehend certain things. And I really love when they can't comprehend disloyalty or betrayal. And so then like there's a wonderful innocence to the brutality of like everything else they do. Like they'd rip somebody's throat out, but lying to their mom so they can stay out an extra 2 hours is just unfathomable.
Right.
So I love the different ways that those things can be explored. Where were we in the comments? The Jaws goldfish. I just saw that. I think here, shapeshifters are the half human, half animal. That depends, I think, unless you're like talking about like the mermaids and the harpies and sirens. I'll make the cover look like Jaws. I would assume it has to do with their food, like teamwork made the dream work, so they stuck with it. For lions, part of the reason that lionesses do all the hunting and bring the food back is because like the lions then save all of their energy and stuff for duking it out with other prides. So it's just like the lions are just sitting there working out their muscles and stuff, and then somebody comes on, the mailman comes up, and they're like, "Get off my lawn!" All I see is that it's easier for them in the grasslands to hunt as a group. So, yeah, like I'm pretty sure it's a resources thing. H2O is basically it is. It is basically Were Mermaids, and a really good series. I highly recommend it. Why they figured it out and not leopards or cheetahs is, like I said, cheetahs actually do hunt in a group with their children. Mama cheetahs.
Like 4 versus like lionesses make up like 7. So they're like.
We just said groups. We didn't say herds. But yeah, it's for cheetahs, they have to eat a lot to maintain their metabolism, and it's really hard to get that much food where they are. And she asked Ninja, most other big cats that I can think of live in areas with a lot of foliage to hide in and have evolved to have camouflage, as the plains of Africa don't lend themselves. There's that too.
That's true.
Would the human form of a werepirama be a professional?
That's
they could be
terrifying.
College age too. It's just a bunch of early 20-year-olds. Oh no! No! Sorority. No, like what about a drama club of werepiramas? I need this in something.
Someone has to make this happen now. Yes, the swim team. That's perfect.
In many areas, at least, just an assumption. I'm not 100% on the science of it, just what my brain interprets as a reasonable assumption. That's a thank you for the disclaimer. In writing them, getting into the head of a pretty animalistic-minded character can be interesting. Yes,
Yes,
it is. I love
it
writing
is.
people tortured about things.
The drama.
See my edgelord video for further evidence. I guess as the top cat, they have a way to deal with surviving. He's trying to start a war here. Males provide territory and protection in a way, and the females hunt and provide food. Yeah. Okay, so a were-mer person who turns into a shark or a jellyfish during the full moon. That would be really interesting for the jellyfish thing, because jellyfish don't have brains. So, like, would they then become a hyper aware jellyfish?
That's a lot to think about.
Could they like create a jellyfish army to terrorize the world? Tigers are my second favorite big cat. Cheetahs are my favorite, then tigers. See, that's why I'm very torn with my pit fighter, because I'm like, I could make her a tiger. I love tigers. But then also, jaguar might fit her better. Author desires plot. I feel like those creepy fish dudes from oh, they would be amazing werewolves. Or oh god.
Oh, yeah.
Where yes, the trench. The are the things from Aquaman. Were lionfish with poison quills. That reminds me of when I did we were in a role play group, and my character was a merman, and I modeled him after not necessarily he was the lionfish. I think was the closest thing to a real world fish he was modeled after, so he could create his own poison, and so like he used it to bake into things and kill people.
That's cool.
I gotta scroll back up. Candy's here for it. Where grouper? I know everybody thought we were going to talk about werewolves all night, but
we're talking about werefish.
Were-mer creatures has become the hot topic of the night. I made it! Woo!
Yay.
Welcome,
I've been having that problem with electricity too, and the storms.
Yeah. We've been getting storms all week, and then yesterday our power like flickered on and off twice, and I was like, "Don't be here tomorrow. You're not welcome."
Be gone.
Where's Squid? So, like, a were-octopus army would be legitimately terrifying.
Yes.
Because, like, yes, welcome. Were-guppy. Basically, what we're all getting at here is fish are terrifying. Half of these are terrifying, and half of these are not. So where sardines all get in a bus together, and then somebody joke. Oh, it's really packed in here, like a can of sardines. The sardine shifters just look at them annoyed.
You know that's offensive, right?
He knows that wasn't cool, right? Yeah, but like dad's half sardine or something like that. Brainstorming a story: Snow White, Rose Red, and Briar Black. Each have nature relative powers. Should Rose Red be able to talk to animals or shapeshift into them? You guessed it, a wolf. Thoughts? So Snow White, Rose Red, and Briar Black. I am always gonna vote shifting into the animal. Talking to them's still awesome though.
I feel like the little girl from the taco commercials because I'm like, why not both? Exactly, both.
That's what Chris just said. Yes. Werewolves. Do they make pearls? I could be rich. I think talking to the animals is a little cooler. But if you could talk to them when you shapeshift,
True.
where
I like
where
it. We're shrimp.
incoming the were crustaceans. Okay, so the curse gift, but did we ask everybody which they prefer to use in their whips, if it's a curse, a gift, or biological?
I don't think we did.
Well, hell, let us ask everybody.
Tell us, which one do you like to use?
If you use them. If you
Yes,
have
if you
just
use them.
come
Not
here
everybody does.
because you wanted to hear about the topic or enjoy our faces, then it's fine. You can tell us which one you prefer to like read about or something. I doubt a bunny wants to talk to me when I. You don't know. Have you tried turning into a wolf? The only thing a bunny would
Unintelligible screaming.
So while we wait for the question to be answered, for me, I think for writing, I prefer having a combination because I like the connection with them and the moon. So I like to kind of do it as a mythological gift from a moon goddess or something like that. And then from that point, they became a species. And then you get the whole like cultural, maybe even somewhat religious connection with them to the moon. Like in one of my whips, my werewolf, my lichens, because I differentiate when I write them. If they're born that way, they're a lichen. If they're cursed, they're a werewolf. So like the lichens all refer to the moon as the moon mother.
That's cool. I like that. Mine are it really is going to depend on the project, but for my current one, they are biological, and like there are different groups that have different beliefs about their origins, where the first werewolf came from.
Oh, excuse me. Cool. I always combine blessings and curse into a blursh. Is that the actual word you use? Because I would love it if that is the inverse vocabulary. It's like we were blurst to be this way. I like the biological aspect of it. Oh, yeah. That's better than my. What's your word?
It was up there. I gotta look. A curse.
Oh, curved. Oh, so you got it. ¿Por qué no la dos? Or ¿por qué no la tres? Sorry, habit. A biological gift, that's a curse. That's what I tried to aim for. Like my manly mane, a blessing for myself, a curse to everybody else. Oh, that could also be a good way to look at
Yeah,
it.
that is.
You have an anti-villain that way, like a Venom-esque hero.
Oh yeah.
Haven't used yet. I've brainstormed werewolves. I like combos because it adds interesting social dynamics. I enjoy how many people here are like born with it or both. In the Beauty and the Beast TV show, current beasts were made by science experiments, but the original species that got the DNA from actually existed thousands of years ago. Oh,
That's cool.
I love that. Also, one of so a webtoon that I read called Noblesse that had like werewolves in it. I really enjoyed how they handled werewolves. And like primarily they were born that way. But then as like the years went on, the sciencey people started experimenting on them. and then like the werewolves can do weird things. In my whip, the moon made wolf shifter in spite/loneliness, but they could pass it on in their children as well as through a bite, so biological.
Like a
But is it
biological.
but is it biological if they have to bite them for the curse to be brought on? When we say biological, we mean they're born that way.
I think that's what he means. They can pass it on genetically, but they could also pass it on through a bite.
Okay,
That's what it sounded like to me.
got you. I'm chill with that. That's cool. Could totally be a perspective thing, whether it's a blessing or curse. Like one of my whips, the origins are vague for now, but the character hates it at first and then embraces it. I love a good coming to monster story.
Yeah.
And they're like, I hate being a wolf. And then by the end of it, they're like, the wind through my fur.
This is awesome.
See, I love the combo idea too, especially
Me
since
too.
like you could have some people who are like cursed that way and they like hate it and they're like, I just want to go back to being a human. And then you got ones that are born that way and they're like, what do you mean? Being a werewolf is like awesome. You're a lucky dumbass. You know that? Let me just teach you how to wolf. That would be a great like love story too. That would be an awesome romance. It's just like,
That
oh, well,
would
you were cursed.
actually.
It's like, oh, so you were cursed to be a werewolf? Don't worry, I have been one for all of my life. I will show you how to do it. We can get through this.
You're gonna
It's
love
fine.
it.
And then they like it could come with its own kind of internal drama because then they're together, but they're like, no, I don't want to have kids because I don't want to pass this on. And they're like, excuse you? What do you mean you don't want to pass it? Is there something wrong with me? It's like, no, I mean, I love you. You're fine. It's like, it'd be great. True werewolves are cursed in my whip, while my MC can shift into only a wolf. But because she inherited the shifting ability, I also have a person who can shift into worst fears, in this case, a werewolf. Oh,
That sounds interesting.
Hey, Sanita, how you
Hi.
doing? I'm going to have to write a where insert fish with mer people.
Yes, do it.
I love when people are like, well, now I have to go do this thing. Thanks a lot. You're welcome. Do it. Like, I ain't got time to write all of my ideas. That's like recently I did a video, and in the video, it was the short stories video. I just threw out a thing about when you're writing a short story, there are certain questions that you don't have to answer. And I use this bakery example, and I'm like, if two people like this, if the point of the story is that they're going to try to open a bakery together, you have to answer the question, is the bakery going to open or not? But what you don't have to answer is if this vaguely supernatural person is actually supernatural. Like, are they a witch? Are they a werewolf? Or do they just have migraines? Options. And then somebody messaged me and they were like, now I have to write a short story about a bakery and a werewolf. And I'm like, do it. And they're like, no. They said, it's your story to tell. And I'm like, I came up with that in 30 seconds. Don't worry. It's fine. Just take it. I got too much in here. You're good.
I am giving you permission. Just run with it.
I'm also of the opinion that like 100 people can write the same story idea and come up with 100 different stories.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Mermaids versus werefish. But see, for me, I'm like, would that kind of be like the ocean equivalent of werewolves versus like shapeshifters, or werewolves versus lichens? And are we talking about a war? I need to know. Coming to Monster, love that. Thank you. I came up with it just now. I love werewolves. I have many humanoids and shapeshifters in my novel. Yes.
We love the variety.
So many ideas. It's so bad. I can't keep up with them all.
I feel that in my soul.
So there was
so many things.
There was something else that I was gonna say, and then I saw like Cody's thing, and I apologize. I went on a tangent. Oh, wait. How about a species that existed in the past but became scarce due to the spread of humans destroying their homes, hunting them, and mixing with humans to hide until the bloodlines became too diluted? Ooh,
Ooh,
yes.
I like that idea.
Yeah, some idea you have to let go because when will I have time? I am trying so hard to appreciate your restraint, Kendall. But yeah, that could be really interesting, and
That
especially
could
if you, like
be.
forgot about them.
Leanne, you always have such great ideas.
I love your ideas. Y'all should like go follow her Instagrams and the
You
tweeters and
should.
stuff. I've read books with mermaids that only change on the full moon. Same with Selkies, I think. I do
That's
think in
interesting.
some Selkie, most Selkie myths, I don't think are limited to the full moon, but I do know there's one. I think, yes, do
Oh,
it,
that would be so cool.
do it. Someone, I think, Leanne, was this you or was this somebody else who proposed a mermaid horror or a mermaid story, but from the perspective of the mermaid as a monster? Somebody said that. Same idea, 100 different stories. That's why, yes, exactly.
Yes.
Which, yeah, speaking of Leanne's Instagram and Flash Fiction Friday, she hosts, like, she'll put up a picture, and that is the prompt, and then everybody needs to, like, is supposed to write a flash fiction that's under 1,500 words for that picture, and people's different takes on it are fascinating. So,
Yes.
do recommend. Yes. Let's just know all the things. I'm writing down the werefish person idea in a book. I'll probably never have. In my current whip, I have not the Palu. Those are the well. So I've got like the Palu are the nature people, and some of them are like the flora and the fauna, and it's whether they're plant like or animal like. So in a way, those could go along the same idea as the Norse, where they have like the features and stuff, but are not actually. I remember what I was. Hold on, let me type it out. I don't forget again. Okay, but and then I have the Maritimus. That's what they're called, and those are my mer people. But the mer people have a magical ability to just shapeshift into anything or anyone that they want, and they can even choose to like permanently be in that form. But the catch is, like, say the Maritimus shapeshift into just a human, and then they decide to stay human forever. They then give up the ability to shapeshift. So all these werefish ideas. There can be 100 people in a room, and all of them can write. Yes. I said I like mermaids as predatory creatures, but someone else said the story of the. Okay, yeah. I can't remember who either. I somebody did though. If you're here, let us know. I want to give proper credit, but I don't remember. So, what I was going to ask everybody, which we've kind of like tiptoed and been vague about, but what do you like? What is your favorite when you see it or when you write it, but version of a werewolf? Not just if they were cursed that way or gifted, but like what makes a werewolf versus just like a shapeshifter? Like, how many forms do you think that they have? Or should have? Or do you prefer them having? Like, just the human to a dire wolf, or like a human in a half form? Which reminds me of this amusing myth. I think it's Germanic, where like werewolves, because they're like humanoid wolf people, so they don't have a tail. So they run on 3 legs, leaving out that one leg to look like a tail. so people don't just think they're a wolf.
That's a good question. I've never thought about that before.
It's one of my favorite aspects of werewolf creation is deciding on those forms, and so I've every time I keep meaning to ask, and then I'm like, what was I gonna ask? And I finally remembered it. I'm trying to find them on my Kindle. Give me a few minutes. Cool. If you remember after the stream, you can DM me or like tag me, and then I'll add it in the description down below, as I do sometimes when things get found after stream. Sorry, I sat on my own cord with my armpit. Yeah. I've been thinking about that all week. Oh wait, about the forms or the mermaids. I already have a document with the title Relationship Shifter and a shirt shifter for later. Yes. I really love the underworld werewolves. If I remember right, they just had the human in the half form. I'm sorry, it's been 10 years. Damn, it's been 10 years. The thing I always liked about the idea of werewolves is the lack of control. Like, they wouldn't even remember when. Yes, I love when, like, they wake up horrified and they're like, oh no, what did I do? Is anybody dead? Was it me? Oh, you're just missing 3 cows. Okay, it's not that bad. How to view. Oh, I'm subscribed to that. I haven't started reading it yet. I think werewolves that look exactly like real wolves are not the best, but like I said, I do like Ruby and once, though she is a very large wolf. Do you guys know the difference between werewolves that are still humanoid and ones that are a full wolf after they transform? Like, why is there a difference? Okay, so as for why there's a difference, that goes back to like the origin of whichever myth you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that some of them are like just half human, you know, they got that like the big beefy monster form, is that's when they're cursed, and that's when they're made to be the man eater and the monster, or like lycanthropy was actually originally considered a clinical thing. There's a lot of dispute as to what possible actual medical disease or disability that people who were diagnosed with lycanthropy could be. So there's that. But they're in a lot of like pagan or shamanistic origins and cultures. It's more about being connected to wolves and being wolf-like. So then that's usually when they just look like dire wolves. Is because it's about turning into the creature, not being like cursed with it and everything. And similar thing with like were tigers is if it's cursed because you done fucked up in life, it's more monstery. And with I think Nagals are just straight up jaguars. I think they just straight up turned into jaguars. And those are the only ones. Those are the only ones I can remember by name. But I agree with Leanne. Like, for as personal preference, I don't like when werewolves can only turn into like a giant wolf. But if they have multiple forms, like they can be human, or then they can be half human, half wolf thing, and then they can also turn into a wolf.
Mm-hmm.
I love that for like biological werewolves specifically, because then it's like their two halves and then the middle form of their two halves. And
Yes.
I think depending on how it's handled, there could also just be like 2 more in between forms. So I saw that in one thing and I can't remember. But like
the Werewolf the Apocalypse is like that, where they kind of have the each end and the middle and then something in between too.
Yes. So I like when it's primarily we got options. I like having options.
Yes.
But when they're cursed, I don't think they should ever just look like a wolf when they're cursed.
Yes.
Because that defeats the purpose of a curse.
That's pretty much how I feel too.
I've been thinking about the mermaid horror all week. Oh, okay. Cool. Oh, then it was it you, Audra, then? Is that what you were saying? You're coming forth? Underworld werewolves look like a man. Wolves, they stand upright. Okay, thank you. That's what I thought. I like the ones where they can shift into a bigger version of what creature they are shifting to. So the term for that is a dire whatever. So if it's a dire wolf, it's basically just a wolf but bigger. If it's a dire bear, it's a bear but bigger, which, oh my god, that would be terrifying. This bear's already huge. So if it's a mole, it's just a bigger mole. Sorry, I'm going to be bringing the mole back. I know somebody's reaction to the mole was great. I think it was Ani's. I might be wrong though, but they were like, I looked it up. It's not cooler than I thought. That's like one of my favorite things today. Oh, sorry, there was more. Unless it's a smaller, like Pomeranian, but can half shift. Oh my god, that reminds me. So here's a thing that I saw that I've seen a few times, but not really popular. When it's a were creature, but the other way. When they start as an animal, but then can also have a human form. So
Yes.
like the Pomeranian that turns into a person. I think it's mostly used for witches, giving witch familiars human form and stuff like that. Like Maleficent did it with her little. Is he a raven or a crow? I cannot remember her little bird boy. I got to find where we were. The Pomeranian comment was there. We go. A werewolf to me is a humanoid wolf which has no control with a constant need to hunt, but with remnants remembered back as a human. Cool. So I think chat is pretty unanimously. It's gotta be person dog, y'all. We're not all here for the big wolves. I agree with Ninja about the lack of control, except Remus Lupin. It made him a very tragic character. This is fair. In Teen Wolf, the form some of the shapeshifters took was determined by their personnel. Oh, that could also
That's
be a
cool.
Yeah. Another angle that could be interesting is if it just like keeping with personality, but also I had something and I lost it. I'm sorry. I'll tell you if I get it back. How to Be a Werewolf is great. The MC thinks it's a curse until she meets. No, I don't want to read the spoilers. Look away from my own stream. I think it's the Mertale series by Brenda Paydos. I remember it's a series, and that's one of the things I have on my Kindle. I have over 600. That's fair. We appreciate you looking. Hold on. Don't mind if I take a few minutes to read. The Mertales. Brenda, no! The chat moved. It's okay. It's still on the thingy. Okay, thank you. Just gonna keep that up. I've seen Were Human. Justin Files did that in the second book. It would be called a Were Human, wouldn't it? that would be the more appropriate term. Full Moon, Tamara Pierce turned a tree into a human. That I feel is more like a dryad.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of. But I guess one could argue that if they wanted. That's one of the fun things. A were tree. That's in a tree that growls at you when you walk. No, thank you. Just like going about your business, and the tree's like, and you're like,
Like the trees in the Wizard of Oz that throw all the apples.
That's kind of less scary to me because I can see
Well,
the
yeah,
tree
that's
doing
less
it.
scary than a growling tree, but
Because you don't know if it's the tree growling or if it's something in the tree that you just can't see. So it's like, I'll just be going now, growling thing. But yeah, were-human would be the like a better term for it if they started out as an animal and then they turn human. How do we feel about this? I mean, hey, chat. What do you think of like stories with that? Like I said, I love it. I think it's awesome, especially when you get that culture shock and they're like, "Why do people do these things?"
right. I actually have some characters that are like that in my project. Some of my werewolves were actually born as wolves, not as humans. So it's a really fun concept to play with.
What do you mean I have to be nice to people? I don't
What are these clothes you're talking about?
that, or I love how this convo shifted from land-based werewolves to ocean werewolves. We just go with the flow on this channel.
Yeah.
But like, I think that could be like a great mix where it's like, why do I have to wear clothes? But then they like go outside and they're like, oh my god, humans are so cold all the time. You don't have warm feathers. You don't have fur. You don't have flubber. What is wrong with you people? It's just cold. So then they wear like 80 layers. And they're like, you know what? I always judged you. But your removable fur is great. I have read too many things and have ADHD. Oh, wait. Yeah. It's fine. It's not just you. It's all of it. I have brain fog on the best of days now. It and I are just permanent roommates. I wish to remove it. It doesn't pay rent, but here we are. We're human, but the twist of the plot is there was a bear in a suit the whole time. I mean, that's kind of like the reverse Selkie, but with a bear. I love the idea. Interesting character development on how the creature becomes more human. See, it's like instead of coming to monster, it's coming to human. Then they also become an amazing chef because, you know, they were an animal, so their whole life they just kind of ate things, and then as an animal they're like, did you know if you add spices to things it makes them so much tastier? I don't know why you order out all the time. This is amazing. Cooking is great. Story idea. A dryad, spirit of a particular tree who can walk in human form, is in danger because humans are destroying her forest and she has to stop them before. It's like Fern Gully, but with a dryad. Yes. I'm here for it. I love it. Leanne, just write all the things so that I can throw money at you.
Yes.
Because we know I'm not writing any of the things because I'm still working on my outline.
Leanne, you have to write all the books so that we can buy all the books.
This is actually covered in Bird Nash's college series. Hold on.
Ooh. Yeah, I feel like I need to start making notes too.
Don't mind if I also write
gotta...
this. People, I apologize to people watching this on repeat, but you know what? Y'all can fast forward through my ass. My poor live audience cannot. Okay. Let me know when you're ready too. But oh, excuse me. That also reminds me, in DC Superhero Girls, there's Pamela, and that one is quite interesting. Oh, excuse me.
Okay.
The were tree was great on the I am 100% tree into now I am more human. Oh, that reminds me. So going back to my roleplay days, I've roleplayed many interesting things. There was, I cannot remember the name of the roleplay, but essentially the plot of the roleplay was that there's a war with an ancient evil thing, and the king has to go kill these two chosen people that came from the same tiny village, but like one of them, he ran off to be a soldier, and so now like the evil king army is going to invade the village to take her away. Well, my character was a cherry blossom tree who he lived his whole life in this tiny like village, and he had an obsessive crush on the one person. How I wanted to roleplay him was that he was going to slowly spiral into a very like toxic, not okay place where he was, because when the army attacked, he wanted to protect her so much he willed himself a human body and just like made this giant tree barrier around everything. And like, you know, when she wakes up, he's like, oh hey, and she's like, oh hey, oh you're naked, and he's like, well, I was a tree. So that happens. And so she gave him clothes, and then they're just like, she's like, oh, what happened to all the soldiers? And he's like, oh well, I just stopped them, they've gone home, it's fine. But then like as they're leaving, there's like the soldiers are in vine cocoons, slowly being drained of their like blood and everything. And that was like my first hint that he's just a force of nature, he doesn't care. But like at the beginning he's just kind of like neutral, where he's just like whatever she wants, he just wants her to be happy. But then the evil bad guy thing whispers in his ear, and it's all like, but the other guy sucks. And I'm like, I look so forward into him being murdered. I just wanted my tree man to be murdered. And then there was some drama amongst the role players, and her role player was all like, at least she'll always have Sylvan. And I'm like, excuse you? This is not a love interest. Hold up now. No. He's not going to suddenly turn good. You're not throwing away all my hard work and character development. He's still going to go insane and try to bring you back and put you in a tree trunk to protect you from the world. Don't think that that's changing. So, in case y'all ever wondered, I love cooked meat and steak stew. Yes. I believe in you. I don't know what that whole thing was, but I did it. We should all know by now to bring a notebook, right? Today is Monday. Everybody's like in school, pulls out their books. Like, does anybody need a pen? I have multiple colors. Ah, yes, it was Spirit Sword. Thank you. Ninja was also in that role play. He played a drunken strategist that they needed to win the war.
That's awesome.
I found it on Amazon. The first book is free. Ooh, everybody, first book is free.
Yes.
If you want. Hold on. Is it Beard? Bird? I'm going to say Bird. Bird Nash's college phase. First book is free on the Amazon. The Dryad's name is Bridget, and she's awesome. Aw, yeah. That is how we met, isn't it? Oh, I played 2 other characters in it, so that wasn't his only first impression of my characters. Life used to be simple. I gave shelter to those in need. Seasons went by, and I changed with them, and now I'm human. I feel cold outside, hot inside. That's so much sweeter than Sylvan was. I like this character. Sylvan was a judgy asshole. And don't get me wrong, I loved him. I loved him so much. But he was just like, humans are weird. Oh, the other thing was that they had like carved their initials into his trunk. So in human form, that was a scar he had. It was a heart with her and the other dude's initials in them. But he was just like, it's where she marked me. I loved him so much. I was so looking forward to his death. But yay, I figured it out. I got there. Okay, so Chris's mom is actually getting on an early flight tomorrow. So, oh wait, here's another thing. All of your characters are tree people, or treeple, if you will. That dream that Aurora was not. She was frozen in stone, first of all, not a tree. Secondly, did not want to she didn't dream about murder. She had a mission to save the world and was ready to die for it. I do have a reoccurring theme with my characters dying. You're the giving tree, but all you give is pain. That's Sylvan right there. Okay, random idea, but a regular wolf that gets bitten by a werewolf and Oh, that sounds awesome! Let's do it. And by let's do it, I mean somebody else. I can't. I'm committed to too many things. All right. As I was saying, Chris's mom has an early flight tomorrow, so unfortunately, we're coming up on 2 hours. And I hope that everybody has enjoyed a good time, discussed were creatures of their preference, maybe learned a thing or 2 or 5. And yeah, I gotta wrap up and we gotta get going. So go ahead and outro thyself.
Alright, so in case you missed it, I am T.M.Sparrow, writer and homeschooling mom. I also have a YouTube channel where I talk about writing, mythology, and homeschool mom stuff. And if you want to learn more about werewolves, I cover a werewolf topic every full moon. So.
And I am writing mom Samantha L. Nasset. If you've been around on my channel, you know who I am. If you haven't, welcome. I hope you stick around. I make videos every Wednesday, and I host these live streams every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Yes, I'm sorry, Leanne, we are done already.
Yeah.
So I hope to see everybody back. I have some fun stuff planned for August, including Leanne coming up on the channel. So,
yay! That'll be awesome.
So see y'all later. Oh, before I forget. So I've received an ARC from my friend Lauren Sevier, whose book is coming out, Songs of Autumn, September. I wrote it down. Hold on. September 21st. It is pre-order. The ebooks are ready for pre-order. There will be paperback, hardcover, and an audiobook version. They are just still in the works. I am starting it tonight, and I am very excited. I already read the first page, and I'm enjoying it. So that's all I got. I'll see y'all later. Bye.